Well, good evening and welcome to the January 2025, can you believe we're all saying that year, 2025 Cabinet meeting for the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. My name is Stephen Cowan, I am the leader of the borough, and what I will do now is very quickly introduce the Hammersmith and Fulham Cabinet, starting with the person on my left. So that's over to you, Sharon.
Happy New Year. I'm Councillor Sharon Holder, Cabinet Member for Public Realm.
Happy New Year to everybody. I'm Councillor Wesley Harcourt, Cabinet Member for Climate Change and Ecology.
Hello, Councillor Frances Ume, Cabinet Member for Housing and Homelessness, wishing you all a Happy New Year.
Good evening and Happy New Year. Councillor Rowan Ree, Cabinet Member for Finance and Reform.
Good evening, I'm Councillor Alex Sanderson. I am the Deputy Leader with responsibility for children and education.
Hello, good evening, Happy New Year. I'm Councillor Rebecca Harvey, Cabinet Member for Social Inclusion and Community Safety.
Hello, Happy New Year. I'm Councillor Zarar Kiyum, Cabinet Member for Enterprise and Skills. Thank you.
Yes, Happy New Year. That's a very good point. Happy New Year it is. Can I just remind people that this meeting is being live streamed, so if you're here and you want to talk, then you are, by the very process of that, agreeing to be recorded and streamed. If a fire alarm goes, then please be directed here and here. Copy those hand movements from airline staff, and you will be directed to safety. And other than that, I think we should just note that we have Bora Kwan and Andrew Jones who are absent, and we wish them a speedy recovery from their illnesses. Okay, can we begin then with item number 1, which is minutes held of the Cabinet meeting of the 16th of December 2024. Are those minutes noted? Are they agreed? Thank you very much. Apologies for absence. I've mentioned Andrew Jones and Councillor Bora Kwan. There's no others, as you heard, so please note that. Declarations of interest, are there any? I note none. In which case we'll move very swiftly on to item number 4. Sorry, I forgot to say, could I just welcome Councillor Odroni Alford? So I see how it's so quick to get on with this new year, Odroni. Can I just welcome Councillor Odroni Alford from is it called the Loyal Opposition? I don't think it is, but from the Conservative Opposition, and
yes.
Happy New Year to you, Councillor Alford.
If I can respond, yes, it is the Conservative Opposition.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Right, Council Tax Support Scheme, what's over to you, Councillor Ree.
Thank you very much, Leader. I'm very pleased to be able to introduce our Council Tax Support Scheme for the financial year 2025-2026. As an administration, we're rightly proud of our record when it comes to council tax, the third lowest council tax in the country, and cutting or freezing rates of council tax in 5 out of the last 10 years. But who pays council tax is just as important as how much people pay. And so I'm also proud that here in Hammersmith and Fulham we have what I think is one of the most comprehensive council tax support schemes in the whole country. 4 in 10 households across the borough receive some sort of discount on their council tax. We've taken the decision to take care leavers and foster carers out of council tax entirely because of the difficulties that care leavers have been through and because of the value of the contribution that foster carers make to our borough. And we are one of just 3 London councils that has a full 100% level of support for the most vulnerable residents. So despite the fact that funding from central government has been cut by 54% in real terms since 2010, we are rightly proud that we have maintained this comprehensive support scheme and that those who are least able to pay the least. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions on the Council Tax Support Scheme? No? Any comments from anybody else? Well, I would just again say how proud I am of you, Rowan, Councillor Ree, for again making this one of the cornerstones of what this Labour administration stands for. This has been a difficult 14 years ever since the Conservative Lib Dem government introduced austerity in 2010. To have a 54% cut in our funding is extremely high. I don't think there's a company on earth in the private sector and many organisations in the public sector who could have a cut like that and still try and do more services and have lower taxes. And the fact that we've taken the poorest residents, the people most suffering from the cost of living crisis, out of council tax or discounted their council tax is a significant boost. But it's not just that. Having maintained the third lowest council tax in the country is a real feat. And so the ruthless financial efficiency approach that we have taken from the start, stripping out wasteful council spending and finding new ways of keeping costs low and providing services for our residents is at the very core of the belief of this administration. And I would like you to thank you for that, from turning it from a belief into an actuality. So thanks, Rowan, for your leadership on that. Okay, in that case, can we agree that report? Thanks very much. Next, we move on to the Deputy Leader, Councillor Alex Sanderson. Oh no, we're still with Councillor Ree, and that's the council tax base, item number 5, and still with you, Rowan.
Thank you very much, Leader. Yes, this is quite a technical report. So ahead of the budget, which we'll be discussing next month, this report sets out the council tax base for the financial year. The report notes an increase of 2,191 households on the previous year and sets a council tax collection rate of 97%.
Councillor Alford, you indicated you'd like to ask a question.
Yes, I'll try and keep it brief, but I'll explain the background. And I would first of all say that the family I'm talking about, I have their permission because it's quite an important issue. You're changing the collection from 2 years to 1 year on empty properties. Now, in this case, tragically, the family, or the member of the family, died, and it has taken a great deal of time to get a coroner's inquest. The problem being, is there any wriggle room, any latitude, if within a year, and for other people, on such tragic circumstances, will they automatically be penalised if they haven't managed to get probate, in therefore not managing not to take the steps to not have an empty property? Does that make that?
Okay, Councillor Ree.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very sorry to hear about your resident who's raised this. As someone who's gone through the probate process myself in the last couple of years, I know how slow it can be, and I know the issues that this pops up. If you wanted to write to me with the details, then I'll make sure that it gets past the officer.
So, if I've just got clarity, it would, in a one-off case, you would look at it again, but otherwise, it would be just sticking to the 1 year. Is that it?
I think, yeah. No, I think what Councillor Ree has said is it's hard to deal with a piece of casework at the cabinet meeting.
I was using it as an illustration.
Yes.
I wasn't using it, sorry, for clarity, I wasn't using it about casework. I was explaining a background of what can happen to people where they're caught in a position that, that they have no control over.
My understanding is that this would be dealt with by the existing rules. I don't think there's an individual carve out for this. You know, I think that in this situation, I'm sure that there's leeway. And so, so if you get in touch with the details, then I'll make sure that case is looked at.
Yeah, I just want to stress the scheme is not to penalise any resident in personal circumstances, particularly tragic circumstances, often where they're waiting for the probate service to enact. What this paper is about goes to the heart of the economic inheritance the new government has inherited. One of the key components of the last economic period has been that people have built flats for overseas investors. And there were many we inherited when we came into office. We made it a campaign thing to try and reduce that significantly. But it was certainly the case that central government sees building flats for overseas investors as an export, which they are. It counts a flat as an export. Someone in the Far East buys 4 flats and then leaves them empty. It counts under the Treasury terms as an export. The problem with that is, whilst it's very good for the UK economy to have exports go up, it's not a real export. What we're really doing is losing properties that should be in Hammersmith and Fulham for people trying to get onto the property ladder in some shape or form, and instead they're sitting empty. And with the 3rd highest land prices in Britain, we have a significant amount of flats that had been built for overseas investors prior to us getting into office. What we're wanting to do is to cut any tax breaks for those people. We don't, some of those people were in Russia before Putin invaded Ukraine. So we're not particularly fond of people buying flats as investment properties. They should buy stocks and shares and, or other investments, but not the flats of Hammersmith and Fulham. So this is a measure to try and reduce that. But clearly, if there is any genuine human stories, then I know Savinda Kelsey, the financial director, and Rowan Reed, the cabinet member, will work to make sure that there is no injustices within that. But that's the overall framing of why we're doing this. It's to make it better for local people to get local homes.
May I just respond very briefly? It was that I wasn't sure if you were aware of the unintended consequences. No, I fully understand what you're saying. I don't have a problem with what you've said. It's the unintended consequences, if I may respond.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, glad we've clarified that. Is there any other comments or questions on this particular paper? In which case, is that agreed? Thanks so much. And now, after the long wait, we do have Councillor Alex Sanderson ready to step up and talk to us about item number 6.
Thank you very much, Leader. The personal budget is an amount of money that disabled children and young people and their families can use to help them choose the right support and services for their needs. So this policy, which has been extensively co-produced with Parents Active, formalises the eligibility, purpose and usage of personal budgets in regards to the education provision as set out in the EHCP. So this policy is aimed and will give parents, carers and young people more of a say, more flexibility and more choice about the support that they use, enabling them to make their own decisions as a family about what works best for them to reach their education outcomes.
Excellent. And any comments or questions on that? Okay, well, can I just make a point? You mentioned Parents Active. Can I just thank them for cooperating with us? We worked very closely with them over the time we've been in office. First of all, on the SEN transport service, which was in total breakdown when we came in, and they were really quite distraught, and we formed relationships then and began to work very closely with them. And that's maintained throughout the last decade. And their advice and insights are always well received. So I would like to formally pass on my thanks to them. If there are no comments and questions, is this item agreed? Thank you very much. Now we have item number 7, the joint waste strategy, and that's over to you, Councillor Holder.
Thank you, Leader. This report sets out a statutory requirement for all waste collection authorities to approve. The process has been subject to formal consultation, and it is today proposed that the enclosed draft joint resources and waste strategy be approved by Hammersmith and Fulham.
Any questions on that? Well, I would just like to say, although it's, opposite to this, it's not specific, is well done on the rollout of the new refuse service. I think Veolia are doing a very good job, but more importantly, I think the recycling rates we're now getting with the new food recycling and the increased recycling has been really quite impressive. And that's because we've worked with our residents who are doing their bit to tackle climate change, to reduce incineration, to reduce landfill, to increase recycling, to reduce injuries to staff, to save public money. This is a good scheme, and you've been very diligent in raising that. And the level of thanks I've had from residents across the borough who are very complimentary about our bin services and waste services has been quite remarkable for a service like that. So I would just say well done to you and everyone involved. If there's no other questions on this item, sorry, Wesley, yep.
Just to add a few points to this, because I'm also a board member of Western Riverside Waste Authority. It's been an awful lot of input, and the amount of work that the board members, the pair of us, have had to put in terms of strategy days and such like in preparing this report has been quite amazing. And we've actually managed to get Western Riverside Waste Authority to work as a body now, whereas previously, as I'm sure you're aware, there was sort of splits politically and otherwise. But the key point here, apart from anything else, is that you mentioned recycling. That's one of the key points of this particular strategy, is to increase recycling. And the other one is also net carbon zero. So it fits ideally with the work that we're doing in this particular borough. So yeah, it needs to be approved by the other 3 boroughs as well, and then back to the board in, is it February? February.
Well, thank you for adding that. And I do think, Western Riverside Waste Authority has come a long way since there's been the change in the approach. And so thank you to everyone involved with that across all 4 boroughs. Okay, in that case, is that item agreed? Thanks very much. And finally then, the tree strategy adoption, something of much public interest, and that's still with you, Councillor Holder.
It is indeed. Thank you again, Leader. This report outlines the administration's first tree strategy for Hammersmith and Fulham. The outcomes of outcomes of extensive consultation and reasons for adoptions by way of increasing tree canopy cover throughout the borough, promoting tree planting, community engagement, and better urban forest management, which a number of residents will have already seen, along with environmental awareness that supports the council's ambition to become the greenest borough. The report and 40 action plans are supported by the relevant parks and housing teams, the climate change team, planning team, and a range of external partners.
Any questions? All right, well, I know tree strategy is something of great interest to our residents, and we've significantly increased the tree canopy over the last decade, and we will continue to do that. It's important not just for the environment, but also for biodiversity. And so it's good to see that you have a lot more native trees coming in, which will play their key role in biodiversity. All right, is that item agreed? Agreed. Thanks very much. Move on to the forward plan of key decisions. Can I ask you all to note those? That therefore brings me to the end of the meeting. Thank you for tuning in, and keep warm, and have a good month. See you next month. Thank you very much.